Okay, so I've spent a few minutes and I've cleaned up the images, removing the noise. And so if we take a look at the image now, we have before and after. So we're removing any noisy details that were distracting from the image, but just holding on to the ones that we wanted to keep. And that's just using the mask. And that's my mask right there. You can kind of see right here a selection of the areas that were used. You can also take a look at this, which is representation of all the areas that were removed. A little more visual that way. Okay. And you can see that, by the way, by pressing the Alt key and clicking on your mask. One thing I also did was I followed up by brightening up this area. I'm not going to try and figure out what kind of detail was under here. If anything, if this was for me, I would probably find a similar wedding dress shot and that was in good repair, and I would simply fade that in here. For the time being, though, brightening this up more or less towards the original, this is the original, is going to be more than sufficient for us. So that's what I'm going to do. One thing to pay attention to is that you should notice that before we had this harsh over sharpening going on our edges, and now it's toned down, and that's part of the dust and scratches. It does that kind of fix for us, along with removing dust. So very handy that. Alright, so we have our image and we've sharpened, we've removed dust, we adjusted highlights, and now I want to merge all of that together. So there's our before, there's our after. The next step that I'm going to want to do is to get our brightness and contrast where I want it to be. I want to see some detail on the skin, and I want some normal blacks and whites. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a general overview on the image and close that. So right away I can see that there's no true blacks, and so I'm going to bring this in until it starts giving me some blacks. I can see my highlights are just under, and so that's going to adjust the whole image, just a basic adjustment. Next thing I like to do is do specific adjustments. So for instance, this area right here with this young lady, I want to adjust for that. So I'm going to open up my levels with that selected and just bring it into the edge of the mountain to give myself a more accurate adjustment for that image. And it's a little bright, so I'll turn that down. I'm just going to take my brush and now brush it in, maybe at 40% to taste. I don't want to hit any areas that are already too bright or too dark, but this should help balance out the image. And I'll do another one for just the bright areas, just to tone them down a bit. I'm going to hide that and brush over that. And I can also change that to multiply mode, which will bring any detail that was in that area into view. And see, I'm bringing in some detail on my blown highlights. And let's look at before and after. Getting a little more balance. I'm not concerned about this stuff in the background. That's easily adjustable afterwards. I'm more concerned about the actual subjects. I want to do one more where I want to give a little more contrast to my medium areas, my midtones. And I'm going to once again brush and hide that. Just want to tone that down. And a little bit here. And this is just darkening my midtones, bringing in any detail that was there. And once again, let's take a look at that before and after. We're getting us a more balanced image right now. And so I'm just going to merge that down and duplicate. Okay, finally we're ready for the colorization, so we'll pause and continue with that next part.